Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days in today's video. And this is going to take us well into the second week of November, of course. So we've got cold weather coming up at the end of this week, so into the weekend. Start of next week going to be cold with east, northerly, and eventually northeasterly or easterly winds. For around the middle part of next week, and around Wednesday, Thursday next week, we've got a bit of a discrepancy between the GFS and the ECMWF in terms of whether we bring the Atlantic back for the second week of the month or whether we maintain a cold easterly flow. And I'll show you what's going on in a moment, why we've got this discrepancy between the two models. But it's not impossible that we might extend this cold weather into the second week of November. Of course, the expectation was that the first week of November would be cold, then it would probably turn milder from the second week through the middle part of the month, then maybe colder later. But we may be seeing signs that the cold weather might try to hang on a little while into the second week of the month. So we'll look at that in a second. Before we get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages. Have a browse the widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you'll be helping us to pay for our website. Thanks very much for doing that. Did the live event with Quantum last night. Haven't sent that through to my YouTube channel yet, but I will do later on today, or it might be tomorrow. Very busy at the moment getting all these updates sorted out. But the live event will be, well, it won't be live, of course, but the recording of the live event will be appearing on Gazov's YouTube page at some point this week. And it's on the website anyway, on the live updates page. There's a link to it on the homepage. So you'll be able to come to Gazov's or watch on Quantum's channel if you would like to do that. Seems to go very, very well. I know there's a few little glitches with some of you being able to watch the live stream. If you couldn't watch live stream or you have problems watching live stream, the recording will run perfectly fine for you. There'll be no problems with the recording. So have a listen to that when you get time. It ran for 2 hours, so it's the longest one we've ever done. I'm a bit tired today, to be honest. After that, it certainly takes it out of you when you're talking for 2 hours in a live event. But you seem to enjoy it and had good reviews from it, and all your questions were excellent as well. So big thanks to everybody for sending in those questions. As I said, in the live stream, at the end of the live stream, certainly we'll be hoping to do more at some point in the future. Maybe if we get some cold and snowy weather this winter, we might do another one, but we'll have to see what the weather gods have in store for us. So let's get on with the weather next week to 10 days anyway. We're going to start with the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top and the GFS is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure, being moved around by the jet stream. So this takes us to the 13th of November. So we're going into the second week, almost up to the middle part of the month, not quite up to the middle part of the month, but up to the second week of November. With this one. Now, this will show you the difference quite nicely. So here's the ECMWF. We see we've got this ridge in the Atlantic, and we've also got a big ridge to the north of Scotland and going up to Scandinavia. And then underneath that blocking feature, we've got this trough of low pressure across Central Europe. And what that does, it brings the winds in, or it maintains the winds essentially from the north and from the east. So that's cold. It's a cold scenario there that we've got going through up to day 10. ECMWF shows that, but this is what the GFS shows, and it's very different. Look at this. The ridge isn't there across Scandinavia, or there's a very slight ridge across Scandinavia, basically the remnants, what's left over from the cold weather we've got coming up in the next few days. But really, our weather is being dominated by a big ridge down to the southwest, and that, with this low pressure around Greenland, is bringing the flow back in from the west. This isn't a classic zonal scenario. Got a bit of a cut-off feature there around the central med, by the way, so that's telling us that the jet stream is still a bit split with some of the energy going down there, something going up there. So it isn't a million miles away actually from what the ECMWF is doing, but it's a milder scenario for the second week of the month, and I would suspect this is still probably the form horse, if you like, is probably still the way we're likely to trend in the second week of the month. But as long as the ECMWF is suggesting that the ridge of the cold air is going to hang on, we've got to take the possibility seriously These are the GFS temperature and precipitation on the next 2 weeks. A red line here being the 30-year temperature average. Going to be cold on average now through the rest of the week into weekend, inside of next week as well. Middle part of next week is when we start to get the uncertainty. The trend is to lift the temperatures up, maybe a little bit above average, going through towards the middle part of the month. This is 15th of November, just here, maybe trending up a bit with the temperatures. But there is a lot of scatter there. There's some really quite mild ensemble members. There's also some quite cold ensemble members as well. So I think some of these GFS ensemble members are probably maintaining cold conditions into the middle and maybe even into the second half of the month. But they are outliers, really. They aren't well supported. The trend is to lift the temperature up through the second week of November. However, the coming week is going to be cold, no getting away from that. So the temperature normally from the 3rd through to the 11th of November comes out cold on average, and not just for the UK, but for the vast majority of Europe as well. Remember when we looked at these charts back in September, it was just day after day after day of red colours of above average temperature anomalies. Complete turnaround on that for this latter part of the autumn, and it does look a pretty cold week coming up there for most parts of Europe. Precipitation anomalies are still coming out dry on average. That's because it's cold on average. When it's cold, it tends to be dry because the cold air doesn't hold as much moisture as warm or mild air. So temperature anomalies coming out significantly drier than average. Okay, let's have a look at the generic charts. This is the GFS for Monday, and we're still in the cold scenario there. We've got high pressure in the Atlantic and over Scandinavia, pulling down this easterly, northeasterly wind. That's going to be cold. It's going to bring showers into the east. Those showers might be a bit wintry over high ground. Places like the North York Moors could certainly see some wintriness with those. There'll be rain down on lower levels and in the south and southeast, of course. Middle part of the week, find high pressure building through the country. We cut off that northeasterly, easterly wind. It will turn mostly dry, but it will be cold, and there'll be a risk of increasing night frost and fog. Now, this gets towards the key point. We go through to Wednesday, and then on into the latter stages, Wednesday into Thursday, and this is the key moment really about whether we're going to extend this into another week of cold weather or whether we bring the Atlantic through. It all hinges on this trough, on this shortwave. We mentioned the shortwave in the live broadcast last night. We asked what a shortwave is. This little feature coming in from the west, believe it or not, determines whether we keep cold weather going into the second week of the month or turn it milder. If this little shortwave stalls to the west of us, it does show it's stalling. The elongation in the isobars has the stall on the GFS happening to the east of the country, just to the east of the country. If this feature stalls to the west of the country, then it will allow this ridge over Scandinavia to push those easterlies back in again. That's what the ECMWF is doing in its extended period. The GFS has that stall occurring just to our east. It's later on of GFS, 6 o'clock, and the stall is occurring through the North Sea. So actually this places us into not an especially mild westerly, but we are going back into westerly winds there with the high building around the Azores, and then we've moved beyond that in towards the Friday the 11th and on into weekend. Fine, again, low pressure is weakening as it's trying to come in. It's having a job, this, to get in. We've got a block of cold air sitting to our east that is trying to fend off the Atlantic, milder conditions, and these milder conditions are struggling, even at 192 hours, Friday, 11th of November. It is a struggle to bring the Atlantic through. But the Atlantic does come through, sort of on the height anomaly chart, so by the time you go through to certainly 13th of November, day 10, we are back into more or less a westerly flow, and the ridge over Scandinavia looks like it has gone. Not far away, though, from giving us colder easterly winds. The ECMWF does it. We saw it on the height anomaly chart. This is the ECM chart for Monday, again bringing that cold east northeasterly flow. Beyond that, we build the high pressure through into Tuesday and Wednesday, so lots of frosty conditions. Here comes that low pressure from the west, and notice the stall here is occurring to the west of us, which means the high pressure over Scandinavia is much closer. So the system is trying to come in from the west, but it's stalling to the western side of UK as opposed to stalling to the eastern side of the UK, and that means that eventually the trough just slips away down to the south in that sort of direction, with the ridge over Scandinavia still in control. The cold air is in there across Central Europe as well. We go through into Friday 11th of November, when the GFS wants to start to place us in a westerly. The ECM still has us in this cold easterly flow, still fending off the Atlantic. There's another system having a go coming in on Saturday 12th of November, and again that one is stalling out to west, moving in that direction. So we're still maintaining that cold easterly flow. That would be a couple of weeks with the ECM. We have a pretty cold weather going through into second week of month, and even up to day 10, which is sunny 13th of November, we still maintain that high pressure over Scandinavia, still in that cold easterly flow. So if you want to extend this the cold weather we've got coming up at the weekend, you want to extend that through into the second week of November, that's the kind of thing that you want to happen, with the Scandinavian high fending off the Atlantic. Finally, the GEM, so there's the cold north-northeast wind in on Monday, still there on Tuesday, high pressure reaching through the country Wednesday, probably bringing frost and fog. And then we go through into Thursday. This sides with the GFS. Low pressure starts coming off the Atlantic with the weather system. That system is stalling just here as it runs into the cold air and the high pressure over there. But again, that stall is happening to the east of us rather than to the west. So we're bringing in the milder air off the Atlantic behind that, albeit stalling weather system. We go through up to Friday 11th, on in Saturday 12th, Sunday 13th. We're in a mild Atlantic flow there. So the GEM is siding with the GFS. They want to bring the Atlantic back through for the second week of November and turn it milder after a cold first week. It isn't classic zonality. It looks like we've still got disruption of the PV, polar vortex there. So even if the westerlies do come through for the second week of November, I think that is still the form horse of how this will play out. Even if it turns milder for the second week of November, certainly isn't impossible that it will get colder again in the second part of the month with a return of some sort of blocking. But the ECMWF is there with that EC, so don't rule it out that the stall of this Atlantic weather system on Thursday might happen to the west of the UK, and if it does, it'll maintain and maybe even strengthen the easterly flow. So quite interesting how this one plays out. I say my hunch is that we will bring the Atlantic through for the second week of November, but it isn't yet a done deal. I'll keep you posted on that. Tonight around 7 PM we'll have the second Christmas update. We started the Christmas updates a couple of nights ago. I think it was Thursday day, so it's Tuesday night. So we'll have a second update with that. I haven't had a look at Meteo Seal yet, so I don't know what it's going to show at all, but that'll be coming up for you this evening around 7 o'clock. Right, that's all now. Thanks for watching.